don't know the number and it's unknown. And we'll talk a little bit about that today. I've also taken the time to kind of go through some of the settings, and I've switched computers. So hopefully today we have fixed the problem that you will be able to see my videos and see my documents as well as hear them well as well. So let me go ahead and share the first screen, and then we'll talk about it.
Is made up of two parts. It's made up of white flowers and pink flowers. To figure out how many flowers are in my whole garden, I'm going to start with counting my parts. First, I'm going to count how many flowers are in the white part of my garden. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 flowers in the white part of my garden. On my part whole mat, I'm going to fill in 5 white flowers. Then I'm going to count the other part of my garden. I have a pink part also. I have 1, 2, 3 flowers in the pink part of my garden. I'm going to fill that in my part whole mat. Now I can see that I have 5 white and 3 pink. To figure out how many are in my whole garden, I'm going to count both parts together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 flowers in my whole garden. When I put my 5 and my 3 together, I get my whole, 8. The 2 parts make up the whole. Let's try another one. Here I have one tree full of birds. I have 2 different types of birds. Those are my 2 parts. I have red birds and I have owls. To figure out the parts, I'm going to count each one separate. First, I'm going to count the red birds. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 red birds. That is part of my tree. But I also have another part that's different than the red birds. I have owls too. The owls are the second part. Let's count how many owls I have. 1, 2. I have 2 owls. Let's put that on our part whole mat. When I look at my part whole mat, I can see that I have 4 of one part and 2 of another part. 4 red birds, 2 owls. Now I need to know how many birds are in my whole tree. To figure out how many birds are in my whole tree, I'm going to count my parts together. Count with me this time. Let's figure out our whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 birds make up the whole tree. 4 red birds and 2 owls make 6 birds in all. 2 parts make my whole. Let's try one more. We have a pond. I have 2 different parts in my pond. I have frogs and ducks. To figure out my 2 parts, I'm going to count them separately. First, I'm going to count the frog part and put it on my part whole mat. Count the frogs with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 frogs. Those 6 frogs make up part of my pond. Next, I'm going to count the ducks. Count the ducks with me. 1. I have 1 duck. That makes up the second part of my pond. To figure out the whole, I need to count both parts together. You are going to figure out the whole on your own. To figure out the whole, count my 6 frogs and my 1 duck together. Go ahead and count. You need to record the whole on your homework sheet. Thank you for watching our introduction to part whole. I look forward to seeing you in school tomorrow to learn.
Okay, boys and girls, we are back on the main screen. So, a couple of you said that you were not able for some reason to see the YouTube video. Once again, it was fairly clear to me. If you Google part whole on YouTube, you should be able to find something with that as well. Once the video got started, it was relatively clear and we got going. So you saw one way that we can do this is by looking at things that are pictures. If you see the differences between the 2 types of pictures, you can count one type of thing and another type of thing, and then you can add them both together. If we were subtracting and working on the opposite operation, that would work this way as well. Sometimes you don't have pictures, you just have numbers that are showing or representing something. Most of the time, you have 2 parts and they equal 1 whole. So when we add those 2 parts together, we will get the sum or answer. Here and there sometimes you have a whole and one of the parts. And there's also a way to try to kind of figure out the missing part as well. So now it's time for me to practice with you some of the ideas. And as I show you this document, what I need you to do is I need you to take out a pencil with a good eraser and a sheet of paper. Especially if you're a younger child, it might be best to work with some paper that has lines on it, but certainly you can work with scratch paper or copy paper too. I am going to be showing you the piece of document or paper, and then I'm going to be reading some of the problems. I will work through some of the problems with you, and as I work with them, I would like you to do your best to write down what I ask you to write down. Let me go ahead and share my screen now. So once again, you are getting the sheet of paper out and you have a pencil out as well. Let's wait a moment while this loads on the screen. Here we go. So our objective or thing that we're going to be doing today is figuring out and determining the unknown number in addition problems. This is something we call a part-whole relationship. So what I want you boys and girls to do on your paper is make a big square. I would say the square should be about the size of the palm of your hand. On the top, you will have the whole, and on the 2 bottoms, you will have the parts. If you draw a horizontal line right where I'm pointing to with the cursor, you can put the whole on top and the 2 parts on the bottom. So, for example, if we have 10 of something, and we know that one of the parts is 3, if we could figure out by counting up in our head. So I'm going to think of 3 and remember the number 3 in my head. And as I count up, I am going to keep going. Those of you that have Legos available, that was the material that I asked you to bring for today. You can start with the number 3 in your head and pull out Legos until you get to the number 10. Let me go ahead and start it now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now I see on the pile of the table in front of me a number of Lego pieces. I'm going to count to see how many Lego pieces I have. I will go ahead and do that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That must mean that 3 plus 7 is 10. So, one part should have 3, one part should be 7, and the whole should be 10. Whoops. Oh, looks like it cleared off. Hold on. Let me get back to the last screen that I was just on. Here we go. I'm going to put my Legos back, and we're going to do the next one. For the next problem, I am going to draw a square again. I am going to draw a horizontal line that's a left to right line in the middle of the box. Then I will draw a vertical line coming down so we have 3 parts. I have a whole of 13, and I know one of my parts is 9. I need to figure out how many more I have to add to 9 to get 13. So I'm going to start with the next number in my head. I'm going to pull Legos out and keep counting until I get to 13. So 10, 11, 12, 13. Now if I look at my piece of paper, I see there are 4 Legos down on my piece of paper. I'm going to put my Legos back and we're going to try it again. This time, what I want to do is look at the number 12. I will draw a box again. I will draw a horizontal line down the center, and I will draw a vertical line down the center as well. We see 12 is the sum or total, and we know one of the parts is 3. 3 is a pretty small number, and we have to get to the total of 12. Let me see if I could pull some Legos out and count up till 12. Go ahead and use your pile of Legos and count with me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I've gotten to the sum of 12. Now I will count my Lego pieces that I have down on my paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That must mean 3 plus 9 is 12. As you boys and girls are counting, I would like you to point to the Legos and touch them. Let's do one more example today together as a group. This time, our sum or whole is 15. I'm going to draw one more box on my paper. I will draw a horizontal line through the center, and I will have 15, which is 1 and 5 on the top. Then I will draw a vertical line again. One of my parts is 10. 10 is not so far from 15, but let's count up and see how many Lego pieces it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I don't have to recount. I can see that's 5. I am going to go ahead and stop this particular document, my screen share now, so you can see me back on the main screen. Okay, boys and girls, so we've had a chance to practice some problems. I will go ahead and show you what my piece of paper looks like. So you should have drawn or written something that looks like this. I've done my writing so far in purple. I think I'll switch to another color. Once again, the total was 10, or a whole was 10. 3 is one of my parts. 7 is the remaining part. So we can say 3 plus 7 must be 10. So it should look something like this. Let's do the next example. 13 was my total. 9 is one of my parts. We had to add 4 to 9 to get 13. So our number sentence will be 9 plus 4 equals 13. So if I show you this, this is what it looks like now. I have had some people reach out into the chat, a couple of people, and say that they're not able to see. Perhaps change your video setting or enhance it in some way. But I think most of you are able to see and hear well today. We're going to do 2 more examples together as a group. 12 is your next whole number. 3 was the part. When we counted up, 3 plus 9 was 12. That must mean 3 plus 9 equals 12 for the number sentence that we're going to show. And for the last part, 15 was our whole or sum. 10 was our part. 10 plus 5 is 15. So our number sentence is 10 plus 5 equals 15. Here's the last example. Now that we've had a chance to practice some of them together as a group, I would like you to reach out in the chat and let me know, those of you that have been in school, how many of you have seen little diagrams or charts that look like this with part whole? Go ahead and type yes in the chat if you've seen or heard of something like this before. Go ahead and type no if you haven't.
Ready, set, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so we have Carla and Ethan. They have seen these. Ray and Joseph Elliott has seen them as well. We also have some friends that have not seen them. So hopefully when you boys and girls return to school or work with your teacher, you'll be able to be familiar with some of this as well. I've had a chance to show you how to work with some of these numbers. Now you have a chance to practice on your own. You still need the sheet of paper. If your sheet of paper is filled, you need to think about maybe getting to a new sheet of paper or turning to the back. I realize some of you are reaching out and saying that you are still in preschool, so you have not seen things like this. You have signed up for an addition and subtraction class, and typically that is something for slightly older kids. So you'll get a chance to kind of preview some of the things you might see in your later grades. Let me go ahead and share the next document now, and I will let you know what you should be writing down to practice.
One of my pieces. Yeah. I was like that, and then
Okay, the next document is loading up on the screen. Now we're ready to start one from scratch. Let's see what this one has to say
no,
now.
the haven't for me either. Well, is that
If you are waiting, make sure to have the piece of paper in front of you. This looks very similar to the last one that we saw. You can probably figure out by now, when you see the box, you see the big number on top in the bigger rectangle and one of the smaller numbers on the bottom. So the whole is on top and the 2 parts are on the bottom. So if we look at this as well, we see 7 is the whole and 5 is one of the parts. If we use our Lego pieces again, we pull out 6, 7, I have just pulled out 2. Oops. Let's go back to that main screen that we were on just now. So we have,
We don't care about my baby.
whoops, wrong one, boys and girls. Let me cue this up one more time.
We're going to see. I win. If I win.
So we had 7 on the top.
I didn't want as hard as I did. Oh, I did.
Let's give it a moment. Sometimes things take a moment to load.
And no damage. I was literally hitting everything. It almost felt like there was all-sided attack on me, right? Yeah, all-sided attack on you. That was just such attack from me.
Let me see.
Because I was quick, I was.
Oh, hang on, boys and girls. I'm back to the main screen. Let me try sharing this one more time and see if we can get this to work. This is our next paper that we're going to work on together as a group. Let me see, boys and girls.
Oh, my kid was
Looks like it's having some trouble loading. Maybe perhaps it disappeared off the screen. We'll try it one more way, and then I will try to share something else instead. Okay, let's try something else instead. So if we have, for example, if we insert let's say, we will not even worry about inserting a table. We will just do it together. If our whole, and if we enlarge the size here, let's say our whole is going to be 10 will be the number that we're working with. If we go down to the next line, that is the whole, we can list one of the parts. So as we list one of the parts, let's say we have 5. I'm going to put my Legos back and I'm going to pull out some Legos until I have a total of 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've pulled out 5, but I'm going to start at 5 and work up to 10. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I see 5 Legos in front of me. That must mean 5 plus 5 is 10. Next, on your sheet of paper, I'm going to push over with my space bar. Our next number that we are going to be working with is the number 8. That'll be a nice and small number for you boys and girls to work with. If we are working with the number 8, and 8 is our whole, let's pretend we have 3 of something. We need to figure out how many will get us to 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the number 3 in my head, and I'm going to count up until I get to 8. So count with me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I look down and I can count, I see I have 5 Lego pieces. So that must mean 3 and 5 are parts, and 8 is the total. I'm going to go ahead and put my Legos back in my bowl. This time, I'm going to do another hole. So I will move over with the space bar. Those of you that are writing can write the numbers down that I'm saying and copy it with me so you can try to figure out some number bonds as well. This time, I have a total of 7 in my head. 7 is the whole or total that I'm thinking of. This time, I think I will pull out just 1. 1 is going to be the amount of Legos that I will start with. I wonder how many more it will take to get to 7. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to count in my head and pull them out, and I'm going to give you boys and girls a minute to figure this out on your own.
After he do 20, that's 1 hit burst. That was a 1 hit burst. Maybe some.
I hope you've counted up and moved up to 7. Now what I want you to do in front of you is I want you to count how many Legos you have and write that missing number down on your sheet of paper. Go ahead and do that now.
And then burst. What?
I'm going to count up until I get to 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I definitely see 6 Legos down on my piece of paper. We're going to make things a little trickier for some of you kids that are in kindergarten. Now, if we know, for example, a total of 5,
Oh, yeah.
and we're looking for both parts, that could be anything. We could do 3 plus 2, we could do 4 plus 1, but maybe we can think about if we don't know the whole, what if we just know the 2 parts? So if we just know the 2 parts, let me go down again. I'm going to say 6 is one of the parts, and I'm going to say the other part is 3. If I know one part is 6 and one part is 3, I'm going to put my Legos back in my bowl and I'm going to pull out 6 Legos. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to leave a little space apart on my piece of paper and I will pull out 3 more. So 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to kind of push them all together. I'm going to use my finger to count how many total Legos we see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can move them as you're counting them. That must mean that my grand total or the whole is 9. Let's try one more of those problems. If I know this time that one of my parts is, let's say, 4, and I know another one of my parts is 4 as well, those are parts I wonder what my total or whole would be. I'm going to pull out 4 Legos. For you boys and girls that have Legos, go ahead and pull 4 out now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have to add another 4 to see what whole we get. I will pull out 4 more out now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to give you 10 seconds to go ahead and count how many Legos you see there.
Yes. 1 click.
Okay, it's been about 10 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and count all the Legos that we see now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That must mean our whole or grand total is 8. So I will go ahead and write 8 directly above the 4 and 4. I am going to go ahead and stop that particular screen that I'm on now. I see some of you have written some problems on the main screen, some mainly addition, but 1 or 2 subtraction as well. We've had a chance so far to talk about what part whole means. I've had a chance to teach you some problems, and you've had a chance to practice some problems. Now it's time to do our Lego game. So at this point, if you do not have some Legos in front of you like Mrs. Smith has, go ahead and pull out some Legos now. If you don't have Legos available at your house, you could still watch and participate with me on the screen. I also sent a sheet, which is a Lego addition sheet to your parents. It has the title Lego Addition. It has 2 boxes and a plus sign, and it has an area underneath. Those will be the two parts we're adding, and our sum will be here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my Lego addition sheet down on the table spot next to me. If you have your Lego addition sheet handy, you should do the same. I am going to go ahead and think of a problem now. I am going to go ahead and think of the problem 2 and 2. We have to figure out what the whole is for that. So we have 2 Lego pieces. These obviously are not taped down, but if I attempt to hold this up so you can see, you can see we have 2 Lego pieces laid down on the left-hand part of the rectangle in the first box. And I am going to add 4 more Lego pieces underneath. So, 1, 2, 3, and 4. My 2 Lego pieces are red. My 4 Lego pieces are white. If you have different colors available, it's good to make one addend or number one color and another addend or number another color. But if you don't, feel free to use whatever colors you have available. Now I see that the Legos are in the rectangles where they belong. I can point and count. I have 2 red parts. I am going to go ahead and write 2 in the first box at the top. The next thing I'm going to do is count. I have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I will write 4 next. I wonder how we could get the whole. What I think I will do now is I will move down the red pieces and the white pieces so they are underneath or below that big horizontal line and the plus sign. Now I will count what my total is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can see I have 6 pieces. I am going to go ahead and put these Legos back in my bowl. So if you want to see what something like this looks like, this is what I have so far. I have 2 plus 4 equals 6. Go ahead and reach out for me in the chat and let me know, do you understand how we're filling out this Lego addition? Go ahead and say yes if you catch what we're doing and understand it. Go ahead and say no if you need me to review one more time. Okay, let's keep going. I've already filled out my piece of paper, but normally what you might have is you might have a mini version of this and you might be able to solve a whole bunch of problems. I'm going to go ahead in my first rectangle and I'm going to try another one. This time I will pull out 2 green pieces and I think I will add to that 2 maybe 5 more pieces. So I have 2 green and I have 5 red. So if we move all of those down, if you choose, you can move them down to the bottom. Otherwise, you can count how many total you have right where they are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That must mean 2 plus 5 is 7. I will go ahead and take my marker and write that on the back so you boys and girls can see what that addition problem will look like. We know 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay, let's go ahead and try another one. I'm going to put my Legos back in my bowl as well. This time, I think I will pull out 1 blue Lego, and I will lay that down in my first rectangle. I think now I will pull out 3 more Legos. That was a blue one. I will use yellow this time. So 1, 2, 3. Now I can look at my Lego addition mat and I can count what the total is. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have one part has 1 and one part has 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 as the whole. What I want to do now is practice some of the other types of problems. I'm going to put my Legos back in the bowl one more time. This time, if we think about this, I'm going to put down a total of 2 in the whole spot. The whole spot is underneath the line. Now, when we put it down, I'm going to think about if I have 1 as one of the parts and I have 2 as the whole, how would I get from 1 to 2? I can look at it and visually see there is 1 more in the total. So I would know 1 plus 1 equals 2. Let's try one more example just like this. I am going to go ahead and put down 3 yellow Legos in the total. If I have 3 yellow Legos in the whole spot or total spot, and this time I have 2 white Legos in one of the parts, I know 2 plus some number is 3. Let me see. If I start at the 2 and I add 1 more, that must mean 2 plus 1 equals 3. I just wanted to show you, boys and girls, that Legos are not just for building. You can use them as what we call manipulatives and take them out if you are doing written problems from your teacher to help you solve things as well. Now we've had a chance to practice some with the Lego addition mat, as well as practice some additional problems on our own. We have a little bit less than 15 minutes left. I am going to go ahead and show a little game on the screen. It's always fun if you boys and girls have the internet at home, like you probably do, to be able to look for math games to practice your skills. This is a website called Splash Splash Learn for moms and dads that are listening, and we are going to play a part whole game. Let me go ahead and share my next screen now. Okay, we see that cute little hippo on the screen. For those moms and dads that happen to be listening or tuning in at home, it does say that there is a feature for you to sign up your child for free. And as you can see, it's broken down into many different grade levels. So this works as a nice resource as well. I am going to go ahead and move down and play my part whole game. Let's go ahead and watch the introduction now.
Use the models to subtract.
So we have 4 counters as one of the parts, and those 4 counters are yellow. We also see some counters that are green. As I point with the cursor, let's go ahead and count. So 1, 2, 3. Since we see 3, we can put down the answer as 3. So if you play this game at home, you point to the 3 and you click on it. We just earned a coin, so that was something fun that we did. Let's go ahead and go to the next idea. Looks like it is kind of keeping us out a little bit, so it does help to have an account for you boys and girls to be able to do this with as well. Let's see if we can go ahead, because I know our time is not done yet. I will make sure to create an account with this as well. Let's go ahead and see if we could find a nice resource game to practice for the part whole. And I will make sure to go ahead and create an account with this as well. Let's try Math Playground. Math Playground for sure is one of my favorite sites that I use at school as well. Let's see what this says. It says the add-ins are coming. Can you find their partners before they land? Looks like for this website, you're going to need Adobe Flash Player. So we're going to go back to the main screen as well. And let's try the next option. This is a website called ictgames.com. This will load in a moment, and hopefully we will be able to play and interact with this one. Let's wait while it loads on the screen. On this one, we see there's a variety of different types of manipulatives or things that you can play. It says on here, if we scroll down, we are representing and using number bonds in numbers that go up to 20. I think I will use these little blocks because they are most like the Legos that we use today. What I want to do first is I will think about a certain number in my head. Let's pretend these were Legos. If I move this over and I do 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I have 4 pink cubes, and then I move this over and do 1 and 2, those are the 2 parts. So I want you to think about in your head now, if we have 4 of something and we add 2 to it, what's our whole? You can go ahead and type in the chat if you are on the main screen so I can see it when I go back. Go ahead and type your answer now. Well, when I count, I'm going to count out loud and see what my total is. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 will for sure be our total. You see that you can't drag the numbers, but you can absolutely try to type the answer. Let's go ahead and put AC, and that should clear it as well. AC doesn't seem to clear it. Let's try it another way. Let's hit change. We're going to go back into it as well, and this time we will drag them back. So this seems to be the best way to interact with this website, to just click and drag and move. I'm going to go ahead and put the green ones back as well, and let's do another problem. This time I will do 2 yellow, and I will do 3 more yellow. You can see that I can almost stack them as well. So that's a nice option as well. So if we stay just with the yellow this time, we have 2 as one part and 3 as the other part. Let me go ahead and count our total now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 must be the whole. I can type the answer 5 and it will show up in the box. I can also take my yellow and let's try stacking it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to try one more problem. So I will go ahead and I will drag these back and we will try it another way as well. Let's say if we think about another way, maybe sometimes you don't have both parts, but you have one of the sums and you have one of the parts like we talked about. This time I'm going to put 3 as the whole or sum, and I'm going to put 3 as one of the parts. Uh-oh, we have a problem. If we have 3 as a whole and 3 as a part, go ahead and type for me in the chat, what's the missing part that would go here in the smaller circle? If you said 0, you are correct. So I just wanted to kind of show you that that is a website as well. For those parents that are listening, I will type it in the chat now. That is ICT Games. Whoops, Games. Oh, I'm hitting my caps lock. ICT Games.com. So ICTgames.com seems to be a good website where if you don't have actual manipulatives, you can work with that as well. We are nearing the end of our time together, and we have some songs. So I am going to share a special song on part wholes, and I want you to go ahead and watch it. Feel free to sing along if you know certain parts as well. Let me go ahead and share that now.
A part and a part make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. When I add a part to another part, my 2 parts make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. When I add a part to another part, my 2 parts make a whole.
We are going to try that one more time. Let's play it again.
A part and a part make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. When I add a part to another part, my 2 parts make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. A part and a part make a whole. When I add a part to another part, my 2 parts make a whole.
Good job.
A part and a part make a whole. A part.
Ooh, hold on. Let me share it one more time and get back to the main screen. Hold on.
When I add.
Okay, now we've stopped it. I'm going back to the main screen here. YouTube is one of my favorite resources that has a lot of educational things that we can share. We talked about that I would try to go until 5:35 today, so we have about 4 or 5 minutes left. What I want to do is do some practice problems, and let's use our Legos for help with this part as well. I am going to go ahead and give a problem out, and I want you boys and girls to be able to pull those Legos out and see if you could answer the question. First question. I'm going to say 3 plus 3. Go ahead and pull out 3 and then pull out another 3 and count how many you have. Let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your number sentence or addition problem should say 3 plus 3 equals 6. I noticed Shraddha had it correct, as well as Barrett, Eric, and Zainab. You had the whole correct of 6. I'm going to go ahead and put those Legos back, and I'm going to try another problem right now. So let me go ahead and do 2 plus 8. That's a big number sentence. Go ahead and try 2 plus 8. So I'm going to pull out 2, and I'm going to pull out 8 more. And I counted in my head as I did that. So we have 2 and we have 8 more. Go ahead, boys and girls, and right now count how many you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is a really big hole. Go ahead and type for me in the chat if we had 2 parts and another 8 parts and 10 was our whole, what would our number sentence be? Go ahead and type that now. Remember, the first part goes first, then the second part, and then we have a whole. So I see Ethan put down the correct answer, and we have 2 plus 8 equals 10. Let's try maybe 2 or 3 more problems together, and then that will wrap us up. I'm going to do one more part whole. So this time I'm going to do 2 for the first part, and I am going to do 1 for the next part. Let's count how many we have. 1, 2, 3. So that must mean 2 plus 1 equals some number. Go ahead and type for me in the chat, what does 2 plus 1 equal? Those of you that are saying 3, you have the correct idea. Now let's just try 2 more problems where we know one part, we know the whole, but we're missing that other part. So this time I know one part is 1, and I know the other part, the whole, has 3. So if I know 3 is my whole or total, and I know one of the parts is 1, I can see there's 2 more that make up the 3. So that must mean I need 2 more Legos as my other part. So 1 plus 2 must equal 3. Let's try one more example together. This time we will do 5 as the whole, and we will do 1 as one of the parts. I see 1 as one of the parts, and I see 5 as the whole. I need to figure out the missing part. So I'm going to count up. So 2, 3, 4, 5. That must mean I need 4 more to make 5. Therefore, my number sentence is 1 plus 4 equals 5. I'm going to go ahead and put my Legos back into my bowl. I would for sure encourage you to take out Legos to be able to practice them at home. I will be back with you on Friday, and for Friday, you will need a hanger. I prefer metal, but a plastic one is fine, and you will need clothespins. Either wooden or plastic clothespins work pretty well. We will be working with story problems and figuring out how to take information they give us and using our resources that we have at home to be able to solve problems. We have just about another minute or so if we extend it. I am curious to know, does anybody have any questions about anything that they saw today? Go ahead and type it in the chat now. As I'm looking at the information, I'm seeing many of you are saying no or nothing is popping up, so I'm very happy to see that. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up now. I look forward to seeing you again on Friday as we continue on in our math journey together. If you are listening, moderator, if you could just go ahead and stay on for a moment because I have a question to ask you, excuse me, once we say goodbye to the rest of the friends. Are you able to do that, moderator? Stay on once we log off from the children?
I can stay on, but I'm not sure if all the kids. I don't have a way to get the kids to come out.
Okay, no problem. If you can hear me, moderator, when I shared my YouTube videos today, were you able to hear them a little bit better and see them with what I did differently today?
Yes, I could hear them and see them well.
Okay, good. Were you the same moderator from Monday that was with us?
What was that?
Were you the same person that was in charge on Monday as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm a different moderator.
Okay, very good. All right, well, thank you, boys and girls. I will see you again on Friday. Have a great rest of the day.